What started my journey into mental health and made me realize that I was not happy with the way my life was going in over 60 years was the death of my father. My father was very spiritually and emotionally abusive. He was all about loud verbal punishment, attacking us in ways that would put us down and degrade us. And he did the same thing to my mother. So when my father passed away, what many people mistook for tears of grief were actually tears of relief. After so many years of being subjected to the way he treated her, it was finally over. And all through this, her love for God and her relationship with him only grew. But it was that time in my life that I realized that I needed some kind of a healing. And then 1 year later, my son passed away. And I went into this dark pit that I never knew existed. And I still wasn't making God part of my life. I would cry out to him at times, but he wasn't a priority in my life. And then I found a church that believed in emotional healing as well as physical healing. It took my life in a whole new direction. I started seeking God, worshiping God, thanking God instead of complaining to him, and then learning to trust him with my whole life. And now recently, sometimes the most simple things or the simple words can just grab you and get into your spirit in a way that you want to dive in and investigate it. And the last few days, the word undone has come to me. So I reached out to God to ask him exactly what does it mean to be undone before you. And a memory came back to me of 1980 when I was pregnant with my son Jimmy. It was supposedly the hottest summer in a few decades, and I had been diagnosed with toxemia. I had to be in the air conditioning, so I couldn't leave my home. I had to leave work for about 3 months before he was born. And if I did go outside, it would make me sick. Sometimes I would faint or even have seizures. So I had this wonderful neighbor who taught me how to crochet. For my first project, I decided to make a blanket. Now you figure I'm pregnant, so I made a baby blanket. No, this blanket would have fit a king-size bed, and my son cherished it till the day he died. The first thing that I would do when I bought a new skein of yarn would be to roll it into a ball. Now this would do several things. It would eliminate any knots. It would show you any defects in color, or sometimes I would see these little rough, hard sections that I knew I wouldn't be able to use. But for now, we're going to just roll it into the ball and cover them up and deal with them later. When the ball was complete, it looked pretty. I dropped it into a bag and pulled out just a little bit at a time as I needed it. Now that I've begun to encounter God, I thought about this ball of yarn. I saw it as my own way to cope in life, my own way of getting the knots out, covering up anything ugly, hiding myself, and revealing only a little bit at a time and only when necessary. And then I saw myself take that ball out of the bag. Everything that I had gone through or done throughout my entire life was all wrapped up in this neat little pretty ball and looked perfectly harmless on the outside. All of the things that I thought I'd deal with later had just been buried deeper and deeper below the surface. And all along, I thought that I was the only one who knew exactly what was buried inside. As I grew closer to God, I saw that ball start to unravel. God just took the end and slowly pulled on it and tugged on it, just like he was tugging on my heart. And the ball started to unravel. All those years of loss, hurt, shame, and the ache of hurting others, it was all unraveled. And there I was, undone. before God. God had become the father that I never had, unconditionally loving me, healing me of all that I had hidden and sometimes even forgotten. I come to him undone, humble, vulnerable, every time. And I am only completed in him as he leads me. His love leaves me changed forever.